Yeah, no, the question is really whether EITI has an added value, in particular for civil society. And I remember very well other non-governmental organizations who felt that EITI just produces numbers, that these numbers don't mean anything, they don't feed any hungry children, they don't get anybody into hospital, and that therefore this was just sort of a spinning of the wheels, following the interests of some northern do-gooders and so on, while in reality it didn't change the behavior of the companies in the countries. I think this is a criticism one has to take seriously. I had the experience with Transparency International, that I also didn't call that Anti-Corruption International, we call that Transparency International. And we said if you get transparency, then sunlight will basically the best disinfectant, as Chief Justice Brandeis once said. And it's the same thing in this area. I had the feeling that this was all we could achieve. We wanted to have a triangular arrangement where governments, and private sector and civil society agree. We always try to go as far as these three actors were able to agree to. Sometimes the companies were angry and threatened to walk out and so on out of EITI, in particular in connection with the Dodd-Frank Act, in connection with the reporting on a project-by-project basis. They rather wanted to have a rather generalized lump sum number on the table for every country, rather than reporting for each production site separately. Some of them didn't really want to have other sectors like forestry or fisheries or so involved, and so we had to put this on the back burner. In Liberia they introduced forestry, and even in the Democratic Republic of Congo forestry was introduced, even though we don't have really the capacity to backstop this yet. Partly because some people didn't want to agree with this. Civil society also had some areas where they didn't agree. I mean, for instance, when I tried to bring in Ethiopia, which I had discussed with Prime Minister Meles Zenawi many times, why it would be good for Ethiopia to join EITI, and he finally decided, yeah, we are going to do it. But at that time, the civil society representatives on the board of EITI felt that the civil society was not independent and strong enough in Ethiopia, that they were harassed and handicapped by the government, and therefore we didn't allow Ethiopia to join at the time. Similarly, people felt the numbers which are produced are really rather theoretical, they don't really interest anybody, therefore it was very good that some countries, for instance, found a way to really disseminate these numbers. For instance, in Liberia, when I drove along the street up to the Lamco mine, I saw every couple of kilometers big signs which showed the results of the EITI report. And we had a meeting at the mine. There were about 1,000 people there, farmers and small entrepreneurs and so on. Came to a big school. Half of them were inside the school, the others were milling around outside, and they knew exactly the numbers. They knew exactly that $100,000 had been paid by somebody, but the government had said it never arrived, the money. So on the basis of this discrepancy, a proceeding was started, and somebody was prosecuted. So I mean, it was tremendous participation of the people. But the reason was that the president of Liberia encouraged this. She empowered her own civil society to disseminate this and make sure that this becomes part of the political awareness of the people.